Land Rover Defenders have a habit of turning owners into mechanics. As a mechanic of 17 years working on Defenders and owning this TD5 for 9 of them years, these are the things what I would always recommend as an essential hit list for inspection tools. Now this is to allow you to do the basic tasks such as checking the coolant, checking the brake fluid, and also I'm going to address the elephant in the room, why I've got a stethoscope around my neck as well. But before I do that, did you know 96% of you who watch my videos aren't actually subscribed? So if you do like my videos and you have watched them before, I would really appreciate if you would hit the subscribe button. And this is to help me get on the road to 1,000, so we can do this together on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And now the reason why I've got a stethoscope around my neck, I'm not going to take the pulse of this Defender. The reason why I've got a stethoscope is this is inspired by Ed China many years ago on a program he used to do, Wheeler Dealers. I'm sure everyone knows it quite well. And I can't remember what vehicle he was working on, but I just thought, that is such a good idea, Ed. And I've used this quite a few times on diagnosing pulleys, and it's unbelievable how good it is. So obviously you just put these in your ears like you would do a stethoscope, as a doctor would do. But on this end here, you actually pin it on the actual component you want to test. So if you think you've got a dodgy air compressor, AC compressor, you think you've got a dodgy pulley, you just obviously have the engine running. You don't put it on the pulley because, it's a moving pulley, you wouldn't do that. But you put it next to it and you can tell the grinding sound of a mechanical grinder. And I think this is obviously inspired by Ed China and the Wheeler Dealer program he used to do. I think this is a great idea, and I would have this as my top inspection tool. And I remember going to a job a few years ago when I used to do mobile mechanicing, and it was a Kia Sorento. And the lassie who Kia Sorento was, she didn't know where the rattle was coming from. So I said, right, I'll get the stethoscope out and actually give it a try to see what this actually does. And lo and behold, it was an aircon compressor, and we diagnosed it fairly easily because of the grinding and the change of pitch it made from going from each pulley on the engine and finally getting to the aircon compressor. You could tell night and day, absolutely 100% guaranteed that it was the air compressor what was at fault. So very inexpensive bit of kit, and kind of looks the part as well, do you not think? You can go to a job like this. No? Well, we'll see. Dr. Andy. On to the next tip. This next inspection tool may look like a pen, but it's actually a brake fluid tester. And it takes a AAA battery, and it basically has a gauge here, and it goes from 0%, less than 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, so over 4%, and it goes green, amber, red. And this is to test the moisture in the brake fluid. So I mentioned in one of my videos that over time, brake fluid does retain moisture, and that's why it needs to be changed every 2 to 3 years. Sorry for the rain, absolutely lashing it down on the garage roof. We are in Scotland, so it's kind of what you expect, really. It was actually really sunny earlier. I don't know why I didn't record then, but I was a little bit busy. But we'll just persevere through it and hear the thunderstorms. So it's got 2 prongs on the end of it here, and it's got a button on the end here. So you obviously put the cap somewhere. It actually got a pen clip as well, so you can actually clip it onto your pocket if you really, really want to know what you're kind of doing. Look the part as well with the stethoscope and the actual pen of this. But anyway, this is a really handy tool, and it's what kind of garages would use to diagnose brake fluid and if it needs changing or not. So obviously here we've got our brake fluid reservoir. Just got to be careful it doesn't absolutely go everywhere. So you are obviously only testing the reservoir itself. The braking system is quite large, so you're not getting in all the nooks and crannies of it. You could effectively go to each wheel if you really wanted to, put the pressure bleeder on here and then crack each bleed nipple on the calipers and take a sample, a clean sample obviously, of the brake fluid, what's in the caliper, and it would probably give you a better idea of the overall health of the system rather than just checking it from the reservoir here. But I'm just going to check it from the reservoir just for demonstration purposes. Two amber lights is absolutely like a thunderstorm at the minute. 2 amber lights in there. And that would indicate we've got 2% of moisture in this brake fluid reservoir, which I'm maybe a little bit surprised about actually, because I only changed this last year when I did the ferrules, the two ferrules at the front of it, so the two flexi hoses on each caliper. So I obviously bled it all the way through. So it's probably got another year left in its life, which is fine. But if obviously it's in the red, then I would look to change it. I would just put my pressure bleeder on it and just fire it all the way through, bleed it all the way through. So not a huge job, but a little bit labour intensive. Obviously got to get the vehicle up, get the wheels off. Not all the time, but it does help to get the wheels off. Next on the list, we've got the coolant tester here. So we've got the floaters, and obviously you suck up the coolant here, and whatever floaters float to the top, that's what you've got. So one floater is plus 25, 2 plus 5, 3 minus 10, 4 minus 25, 5 minus 34, and 6 is not safe. So I'm expecting it to be at least minus kind of 10-ish, because I have only changed this coolant for a 50-50 mix of quite good coolant. So let's have a look. Pinch the end of it because it goes absolutely everywhere. So yeah, looking about minus 15, which is about right, especially for Scotland. Now this is a really handy tool to have, and maybe about 10 years ago, it wasn't really readily available. You had to buy a big laptop and all the sort of diagnostic suite gear. I do still have a big laptop with all the Delphi diagnostic stuff, but I think this is good just for a mobile setting. So it's onboard diagnostic OBD, and obviously just plug it into the diagnostic port, download the relevant apps such as Car Scanner, not sponsored, but it's the one I would probably use anyway. And there is a subscription probably to pay on some of these, but you do actually get some diagnostics for free on some of these apps. And all you want to do is basically just read the fault code. If you have an engine warning light, you want to know what it is. You don't want the secret of what it used to be like. You know, you never used to know what it was like, and you had to pay 50, 60 pounds for a diagnostic fee. This is very cheap for what it is. And do you know what? It's probably a good backup for my main system, but highly recommend this. And I would also recommend it to take it with you as well when you're going out. It's very, very small. Obviously fits in the palm of my hand. Just put it in your cubby box in your Land Rover, and at least then if you do end up breaking down or something like that, or have an engine management light, you can easily diagnose the actual light. You can then go on Google or anything like that and punch the code into Google, and it will sort of point you to the right direction and point you to perhaps one of my videos, who knows, but it'd be nice if it does. Now, the amount of times I've referenced this in some of my videos, I really, really think it's worth getting a specific Haynes manual. Maybe not for your TD5, but certainly for the 300 to 200, the Puma. It's got everything you need in it, all the torque figures and all that stuff. Obviously, it will come digital nowadays, but it is nice to have an actual book. You can just quickly pull off the shelf, go to the contents and find exactly what you're looking for. I would highly recommend this. Now, you may have noticed my inspection lights on my videos. This is an absolute beast. It's seriously, seriously bright. It's got a solar panel on the back, so you can charge it in the sun. It doesn't charge very quickly in the sun, obviously. Here's your outputs here. But do you know what? It is really, really bright and relatively robust. I've had it for about 6 months now, and yeah, it's a fairly robust bit of kit. Obviously used quite a lot. It's got many various settings, and it's also got a blue flashing light. Suppose in case you break down, you can put it at the back of your car at night time and have the blue flashing lights. Suppose it simulates making people slow down and things like that. But I just use it in the workshop, and you can put it anywhere. You can throw it around. It's also got a clip on the back as well, so you can hang it up somewhere on the wheel arch or anything like that. It's magnetic as well, so there's 2 magnets there, so you can obviously put it inside the actual wheel arch itself and magnetize it onto the outrigger while you're working on the braking system. So in all, a really handy light. And yeah, I've had many workshop lights before, but I like this one, and it charges from USB-C as well. So basically just what your phone uses, easy enough. Finally, multimeter. I mean, I would say this is an essential inspection tool, even for an amateur mechanic or even an amateur owner who's not really mechanical minded. I would say it's just essential to get, and it just saves you replacing parts what possibly don't need replacing. I remember when my horn didn't work on my Land Rover, all you need to do is switch it onto your relevant setting. If you're not actually sure how to do this, or you're not sure what the if you're reading the right voltage out, you basically can just go to your battery and just go on this setting and then test each setting. So obviously 12.5 volts. You can also change it so it gets the digital decimal point differently as well. So you've got 2 decimal points there, 1 decimal point. But now you know how to set it up. You basically just go to your component. So you can go to your horn, put the positive in the power to the horn, find a negative somewhere, even if it's on the body or a screw head or something like that, give you a good negative, and you can test to see if the current's going into the horn. And in my case, the current was going into the horn, so I knew the horn needed replacing. But if you had no current going into the horn from any of the power inputs into it, you know your horn isn't the issue. You've got a problem further downstream. So then you have to start diagnosing the actual wire itself. Is it a fuse? Then you can obviously go to the fuse box and test the continuity of the fuses. But I would say an essential bit of kit for anyone who wants to repair their Land Rover or inspect their Land Rover. So that's my short list of the inspection tools, what I personally use for my Land Rover. It's not a huge list, and it's obviously not limited to only them items. There may be some better tools to use, but that's what I've used over the years, and they've always served me well. So if you have liked the video, please do consider hitting the like button. It really helps the outreach of the video. And if you have liked it as well, please do consider subscribing. Again, 96% of people who watch these videos haven't actually subscribed. So if you can help me get to 1,000 subscribers, I would much appreciate that. And I'll see you for the next video.